Why, hello there. You're looking very pale today. I think we need to minister you some blood. Allow me to give you an injection. The humors have to be in balance for the body to be healthy. Oh, another poor soul. Well, Nigel is going to be happy. So that was a bit ominous, but this perfectly fits into the topic of today's first review. The game Do No Harm. A game that's going to be released actually tomorrow, and we are going to have a special guest helping us to dissect and have a look at it a bit more deeply. Because I've managed to secure an interview with Novruz Javadov, the co-founder of Darts Games, who helped me with understanding a bit more of the game and shed some valuable insight into its creation, and as well as the struggles and challenges for his game studio, which you can watch from the link down in the description. So without further ado, let's get into Do No Harm.
In the busy city streets, a strange offer caught my eye. An island village, remote and forgotten, in need of a doctor. The promise of high pay was too tempting to ignore.
Do No Harm is a specific game. It combines Lovecraftian themes, a medical simulator, and some kind of detective work based on the patients that approach you, and gives you symptoms that you have to pinpoint and then treat in accordance to old ways of managing their tumors. This was a concept that lasted for a long time in medicine, and it originates back from ancient Greece, I think. I think Socrates was one of the people who implemented the four humors. But enough with the theory, let's get into the game. So the idea for the game was evolving throughout the entire development period.
We had this plan of making a spooky doctor in a spooky town kind of game at first, and throughout the year it has changed quite a while, but that's where we ended up.
So in the end, when the development went more and more and was advanced enough for them to release the demo, they've actually changed a lot of things, but the end result is something spectacular in my opinion. So let's have a look at the mechanics that we can see straight away as we enter the game. So as we remember from our previous video on Lovecraftian themed games, one of the staples of the genre is having some kind of sanity system that is as well visible in Do No Harm. But it's not the only system implemented to affect properly gameplay. We've got a reputation that is going to increase by the way how you treat patients and how you interact with them. So we got a couple of systems that influence the way how players are going to interact and how they are going to thrive within the village that they've went to become a doctor. So the reputation, the sanity system, all of it is going to be crucial for survival throughout the entire experience, which within the demo is about 7 days long, but the full experience is going to be 30 days. 30 days of experiencing eldritch horror, monsters, anomalies. And speaking about anomalies, what things can we see? How do we work around them? Are there any other entities that we can see further in the game?
Three main creatures, manipulators, deceivers, fishmen, and lurkers. And each one, they have narrative meaning.
So currently, as the demo is just 7 days long, we can see the first ways of implementing a progressive difficulty system, where we are introduced with new mechanics, with new ways of treating and diagnosing patients. So how this is going to work in the full release?
And gameplay wise, we saw that like, hey, in 30 days we can introduce a lot of new mechanics. We can have the gameplays that is actually interesting, and we can also like.
So thanks to that, we know that the player can be engaged for a long time while playing the game, and especially that with the story, it's going to be interesting because we've got many other factions, many other people who are within the game who are going to give you some quests, some kind of actions that you should take. Currently in the demo, we can see a cultist that is trying to do something. We don't know what because like we just have 7 days. The priest is going to give us something, and a gravedigger, Nigel, aforementioned. So this kind of story where you can choose somehow your own adventure, to choose who you're going to be working with, who are you going to help, is going to be one of the fun things to replay.
And like I can't talk about it too much without like giving spoilers and stuff, but overall like the main choices you make is whose faction are you going to embrace, and like the different villagers are going to give you different quests, and depending on whose quests you fulfill, that branch you're going to lean to, and that branch is going to end up being the winning side, and your fate is going to be determined at the end, where you kind of choose, I'm going with this, or I'm going with this.
So as Novruz said, we will have multiple endings, we will have multiple opportunities to experience the game a little bit different. So the story is enough to keep you occupied for many playthroughs to come. And especially that with introducing some different game modes, we should be able to experience it at a known pace.
We are doing like 2 different modes, for example, for the release. If they end up being bug free, we're gonna release with 2 different modes where you can choose like a chill mode, where it's not like we can completely take out the time mechanic out of the game, because like it's already too built into it, but it's gonna be much more relaxed, like less time pressure. And then the other mode where it's exactly like as it is right now.
So now the graphics. The graphics are quite interesting because we've got a 3D environment with 2D sprites of patients, which is quite an interesting design choice, and to be honest, they pulled it off expertly. So with the 2D sprites, we can see a big variety of different characters that are going to approach you, and with those sprites, it's a lot easier to create this kind of unsettling feel to the game, where as they approach you, they are clad in darkness, and only after they approach your desk you can see their face. You can examine them with the use of some diagnostic tools. Currently in the demo there's only just the magnifying glass, but we have a sneak peek in the medicine book that there's going to be a stethoscope, and I think there may be something more. So we are going to be able to get really into the nitty-gritty details of the diseases that plague the villagers, and to help them as much as we can. But as well, we need to be careful with the anomalies. So what are the anomalies? Where did they came from?
We were inspired a little bit by like the game Exit 8. It's a very cool, like I always compare that game like to old newspaper like puzzles, where you would see like 2 pictures and you would just need to find the differences between them.
Yeah. So that is an amazing inspiration for the anomalies to appear, because as we are having this kind of spot the difference, we are also getting feedback if we missed something that might be a bit obscured, because we've got the totem that is going to tell us that we've done wrong. And there is a lot of things happening around, because he's going to give you a heads up that this is going to be one of those days when things are going to go really weird. And sometimes he's just going to say, oh, you missed a spot, like, focus. In a much more aggressive tone. The totem is really a piece of work. So you need to focus to look for weird things happening. It can be in many ways obscured, but I think after a while you'll get a hang of it. As well, by using the 2D graphics, they are able to implement some very nasty looking ailments to the patients without doing too much grossing out for some people, because we've got, based on the medicine book, which is one, I think, the most well thought, well implemented game mechanic that allows any player to become proficient in the game. Because as one of the biggest inspirations for the game was Papers, Please, so they've got this handbook manual where the player could learn how to spot the bad things in the papers. So as it was one of the items, one of the features that stayed throughout the entire development cycle, you can really feel like how much work and how much love was put into it, so the players are able to actually gain knowledge, gain expertise for each passing day to actually be able to serve more patients and be able to excel as a doctor in this village. The music and sound effects are quite simple, but they are crafted very well and very appropriate to the things that are happening. So whenever you hear the knocking sound on your door with those very fun comic book style knocks, they are enhancing the experience, the visual experience that is being given. So the way how everything works in tandem really gives you this kind of fun, interesting experience, both visually and auditory. So how the gameplay actually looks like. At the very beginning,
like very, very early on, we also wanted to have like this inscription-like movement around the room, and the house was bigger and there were more puzzles and stuff, but that ended up...
But then they've decided to actually have this different approach, because as we know that the more features, the more possibilities that is given to the player, it may dilute the experience. So by standing in one spot and just getting the patients come to you, the gameplay loop became more strict, more focused on interaction with the patients. So as they approach you, they tell you what's happening with them at the beginning, because as we said before, the progressive difficulty system is implemented well enough that at the beginning you can have a look at them. They tell you, oh, I have a headache, my vision is blurry and everything. So they give you all the information that you require, so that you can just quickly glance on the medicine book and pinpoint their ailments and employ proper procedures to make them well. As the games get further, we've got dosages of medicine. They don't really know what's happening to them, so we need to have a kind of guesstimate work with trying some alternative medicine. And then there's the humor wheel. And let me tell you one thing. When you master it, it's going to be an amazing tool. But until that, well, let's say it's a very hit and miss strategy. So how the game is currently? Well, the demo is showing us enough to get us hooked to the idea, and in my opinion, as a massive Lovecraft fan, I really think that it is a must-have in any library of a Lovecraftian fan, because it gives you this mystery, it gives you the possibility to investigate. So there's no problem for you to grab the demo, have a look at it, and when it releases, well, you have enough time and enough experience to actually learn and then be proficient enough to start from a good note. So with that, my dear patient, please.
Doc, don't keep me waiting. I will be here. Just for you.